Today we're going to make the character status bar. We're going to add 2 more sections to it. But first we're going to add another part to the chat window. In the client script, chat input box class methods, we're going to comment out me invisible in 2 locations. This will stop the chat line from disappearing. And in eChat handler class methods on the server side, we're going to change the game where it says message to MSG. That will allow the player name to be shown here for who said what. Next, we're going to add our create 6 fields for the new character bar that we're going to create here. We're going to make B endurance. This will be endurance. It's a float type. Endurance max. B health. B health max. B mana. And B mana max. Each one of these will be a float. And maxes will determine how much max currently they will get, and the maxes will be server side only. So when you finish the mana, health, and endurance, click the copy to client. That will set those 3 fields on the client side. Then we'll be able to add them to a class. With the ones that are copied, there are also some other parts we're going to add in on the server side. We're going to set the destination field to the same class on the client side. What this will do is when the class is replicated, it will replicate this field for us. You also need to set delta priority to a 1 and the callback to yes. That is for all 3, endurance, health, and mana. The maxes will be server side only. On our server side classes, we're going to look for common character. This takes precedence for both our non-player character and our player character, and we'll be adding those values, all 6 of them, to the server side. Down here at the bottom, click this, open, and it will look for our variables. We'll add these 6 in, and as they're copied to the client side, we will then mark the endurance, health, and mana to be replicated. That will send them over when either a player character or a non-player character is created. Once we have these fields added, we'll click the save, and then we can close the server down. Then we'll open the client side. And the common character, which also gets our replicated values from the server. Here we'll be adding the 3 basic ones, endurance, health, and mana. These are our 3 float values that we created and copied over. Okay, we'll close the DOM for now. Next, we're going to open these scripts up And we're going to do a search, find in all scripts, and we're going to look for E hit points. These will be both on the server and the client. We're going to exchange them. I'm going to do a different search here to show you where they are located. They're mostly located in the common character, and they're also added in 2 other scripts here. And a few more on the actual ones that do the attacking part. Okay, in the heal script, we're going to change E hit points to the B health for the target. And our max, which is currently at 100, we're going to put target max health. Then we'll be able to adjust that max health as we gain levels, instead of having a constant 100 value there. Next in our commands, there's a reset. And here we're just going to set PC health, replacing the E hit points. And we're going to make it equal to B max health instead of 100. As we change the value, it will be set here too. Okay, in the character create system, this uses these values to create it. These health will be, the maxes will be set, so what we need to do is set that E hit points to health, and then set equal to the max for the health, mana, and endurance, all 3 of those. Okay, we can close those 3 classes, and then we'll be in the common character. Now here we're going to set the max equal to 100 to start with. This is when the character's first created. And we'll add the B health, we'll set to B max. Max mana will be 100, and max endurance will be 100. And the regular will be set to the max. Next line we have is down here. Change the E hit points to health in 2 places. And here we'll change the 100 to the max value. Now as we change these, we're setting float values into this function here, which is looking for integers, and it will come back with an integers. So let's set here and right click this function. It will open the functions here in the utils file. What we're going to do is copy the 2 integer values with minimum and maximum, and copy those to the minimum F, maximum F. And we're going to input floats and output a float instead of the integers. After changing these values, we'll be able to set our value that we're calling here the float one instead of the integer. There'll be another place for that down below. Our next one is at line 81. Down here, we'll change B E hit points to B health. And this checks for the death if they're under 0 hit points. Our next one is at 93. And there it checks to see if the character is dead. We're going to set the health, mana, and endurance to 0 value. Our next place will be at line 145, around there. Some of these lines will be changing as we add in 3 values instead of 1. When you come back to life, instead of setting the values to 100, we're going to set them to our max value. Whatever that current max will be set to. Our next line will be around 186. Down here in the regen timer, we'll need to set in one for the health, mana, and endurance. So we pretty much copy paste those and then set each one for one of each, and then our 100 will become the max. Also, we'll need the float function instead of the integer one. Our next script will be in the player character. Here it will have change the E hit points to B health, and then we'll set in a max value for it. And what this does is when you gain a level, your character will max their values. This isn't always necessary, but this is where it's currently at. Okay, as we're changing the values in each one of these, don't forget to compile and submit them. Next, we'll go to the client side, and we'll look for our B health, whereas you will be looking for E hit points. These will be the ones that are set up here. We'll start with the non-player character one. And here is a lightweight event that says when this field is replicated from the server to the client and it's changed, such as the health, the player gets attacked and the server registers damage, you're going to change E hit points to B health, and this will say show it on, with this raise lightweight event, it will show it on the character panel. We'll also add in one for mana and endurance. One of the main things here is to make sure that it's all in lowercase and don't have any uppercase letters, or it won't work. Our next one is in the player character. It's pretty much the same thing. You could almost copy paste them in. We're going to have the health, mana, and endurance, and all are going to raise lightweight events. Okay, then next we'll have our status bar. And here we're going to add the actual event that happens. This is the lightweight event that was raised. It's going to check for the value here, the updated hit points from this event here that was raised. And in there we're going to say we're going to move this charge a common character subject up to the top rather than have it each and every one of them. And in each one here we'll check if that chart is not equal to none. We will set the name, and we'll change ours with the set health will be B health instead of E hit points. We're going to add the set mana and the set endurance. And these two here. Below is where we're going to have the actual ones. These are going to be created. So we'll copy the set health. What I did is take out the many descriptions, the comments that said where everything was, and I gathered the anim string all up on one line. Sometimes you may need to double check on here to see if something is off. We're going to then copy this method over to create the mana and the set endurance. And then we will change these values here from health panel to mana panel and health slider to mana slider. Here we'll be setting MA copies float instead of hit points. What I did is just take 2 letters on each one. Then we change the health, which is probably health slider. I shortened that so we're not having some huge lines across. And then we put mana in for the mana one. And the mana will be in 1, 2, and 4 spaces there. That may also be here, so it's 4 for each one of these, and 4 for the mana. Then we have the same thing with the endurance. 4 changes for those, 4 changes for the END, and we'll have the end and end. These aren't that important. What this is the name it's going to look for if we had a ending function, but we don't in this one, so there's nothing to reset, so it doesn't matter too much, but I put E, M, and H slide. Next will be our target circle. Here we have, when you click on your target, it will add Lightweight's events. It will create the event. Instead of having the event already happen, here we will create it. And we will change the E target, the heat health, and this one here, set health, E hit points to B health. And we'll duplicate that for the mana and endurance. And these will be the same, adding in our names that we created back in the status bar for those. Back up here. These will be the same names that are copied in this part. Okay, next we're going to go back to the DOM so we can close these scripts. Okay, we'll go in the client-side DOM. We're going to create a new, it's going to be B jar status bar. This is going to be a GUI control, and it'll be the status bar for the character. Okay, then it'll create that one. And I have that one here. Next we will add a parent class, GUI move panel. We'll add it here, and then click the add and save. This one won't have any fields in it. Next we'll click open script, and we're going to create this script. We'll be able to close up the DOM. Okay, we're also going to look at E status bar, and that's where we're going to get some of these functions from. We're going to copy the lightweight event raised function, and these 4 functions here, where we set the things based on the value. We'll copy and paste those over to here, lightweight events, and it will be set name and health. The reason we do it this way is in case we need to change some value in here instead of creating changes on the original one. We're going to change them here for the character. We're also going to copy in the function for start and the class at the bottom from our other one to change your values from exit to char, and the class in here, these 2 places, and in here after build we won't need the window to set in the middle. It's going to be the upper left with both starting at 0 values. Next we're going to create the update char function. It will receive a value of char for our character as player character class. First we're going to create the GUI so that this part we'll have something to link it to. We'll then get the window based on the class, and the window is our link to these listeners. The listener will be added over here at the end. Our chars, what it's going to be added to, and our 4 lightweight events that it's going to look for. Underneath that, we can pretty much copy those from the target circle. Those have those same add lightweight event listeners. We got those 4 here. We just need to change the status bar to our window for what it's looking at, and the char where it's setting it to. The win set with the name and health man on that can be those. We can also add in a check for the max. Let's get the basic one working before we add in our maxes. Okay, after that we'll be going to our GUI. We compile and submit this, and then we'll make our GUI. Okay, we'll click Create, type in our class name from the script, prototype. It's going to have a inherit from a move panel, and then we'll change the class to ours, and we'll click OK. Then we should get our container. It will be basic. Next we'll take the char bar selected here, and we're going to copy the status bar, E-status bar, to the bottom of that. Inside that status bar you'll have some values. We're going to copy and drag the name up to here, name label. We're going to grab the health panel and pull that one up too. Then we can hit the delete key and remove that from our status bar. Then we're going to copy, pull the mouse over to the right, hit Control C, select the main status bar again, hit Control V, and it will paste it in underneath. And then we'll just change our names on each one. Next we're going to set in our texture field. It's going to be GUI elements, and the texture viewer is going to be this one here. We're going to basically grab these 3, the red, green, blue, yellow, whichever ones you want to use. And then we're going to, I used green for the health one, and our values will be down here, position at 370, 128. The size will be 2510. Make sure these are set to a 1 in order to see it. Now here we don't need to copy to the hover, as these are just slide panels and they're mostly covered by this panel here, so it won't be underneath it. This one, it should probably be black already. 3 zeros and a 1 to show that it's black. Now the size of this will determine the size of this as it's docked on the left. It will always stay on the left, so your 0 hit points will look real small and your max hit points will look all the way to the right. We'll set these for different offsets. This will be 370, 111. And the color for the yellow one will be at 370, 144. Okay, we can then save and close this one. And then we'll open the e-status bar and pretty much add the ones to that. We're going to change the size of this so it'll show all, or be putting 55 for the end value. That way it's tall enough to display all three bars. We'll then copy those bars to here. One more thing on the east char status bar. Make sure you set the layer to game and the owner to 0, because it's not copied from our main window, so these values will be pretty much blank when we start. Allow move should be true, allowing you to move it around. Next we'll add the function to the script to start it all. Okay, in our script, look for player account. We've had that one before. And here we're going to comment out the status bar all the way through the lightweight events. That should be just above your chat window one. We comment all those out. Then we'll add in a call to B char status bar class methods. And we'll click our update char function. And here's going to be our added node, which is the replicated node that comes in as a player character. Okay, next we should be able to log out. So we'll bring up the GUIs, hit the escape, we'll log out, and then log back in. And the mana bar should be here with the health and endurance too. And if you hit the tab key, it'll target your character. It might target it, and it should show the other target bar. We haven't modified too much yet, just 3 bars, and the distance will be 0. Okay, if for a test you want to try push the 1 or the 2 key, and it should show the health dropping, because currently we don't have a check for the PvP in. And you see your number for taking damage. This now displays on this window in the color we set it for combat. This one is a bigger cast spell, so you can actually kill your character if you hit a combo of the 2. And when your character dies, you should see all 3 empty or black. And when it res, it should reset all 3 of them. Now, if for some reason this is not connecting, you might need your world to sleep. And that's our tutorial for the character status bar.